Welcome to Candid Conversations with Dr. Kelly, where we dive deep into the conversations that matter most to your mind, body, and soul. On this episode of Candid Conversations, I'm chatting with Coach Brelend Wiggins, a former football player who first suffered a concussion at just 8 years old. He shares how that experience shaped his journey and inspired his current advocacy for football players and their brain health. Listen now to his powerful story and mission to protect his players. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
I want to start off by just thanking you for agreeing to come on and have a candid conversation with me. And I want you to start off by telling the listeners a little bit about yourself. I know that you are a fabulous coach, but you yourself have a history of concussions. So please tell the listeners about yourself.
Okay, well, for one, my name is Brelend Wiggins. I played football my entire life. I come from a football family, football background. My brother played football. He actually played in the league. My dad, he grew up playing football. He played for the top team in Flint, Michigan, Northwestern. He actually was coached by Mike Jack, which was I think he retired in 2012 from the University of Michigan. He was the running backs coach, but he was my dad's head football coach in Flint during the time. So we just cut different when it comes to football. That we live, breathe it, walk it, talk it, sleep it, eat it all day. So as far as my professional career, I just got hired on as the director of transportation at South Lake Christian Academy. Yep. And I'm still waiting on this other job to land. Yeah, I applied to be the head coach. You know, God is working His way through this, so I'm just trying to stay patient, and I'm just focusing on the role that I got now. So I am the director here, so I just got this role. Before that, prior to that, I was in the transportation industry, so I had a trucking business, and that went very well. But I wanted to pursue my career in coaching, due because of my history with the game of football, what it has done for me, and the things it has done to me. So I think that's why I'm here. So I do want to give a little background on why I'm here on this call. For one, the history of my concussions. So I got my first concussion when and this was an undiagnosed concussion. I think I was 8 years old, so I was in fourth grade. Um, that's that was the start of my concussion series. I got my second concussion, I believe, once again, undiagnosed in high school. And
How'd you get the
that,
first one at 8?
so yeah, at 8. So the first concussion, we can just get right into it. So the first concussion came. I was in 8. I was playing for the Rider Redskins, a football team. It was a youth football program, and I was in the middle of a play. I was playing on defense. I hit a guy head on, and I just don't remember anything else after that. I just remember telling my dad, I was coaching me at the time, hey, I had a real bad headache, and it was like hurting when I talked. And my dad, he sat me to the side, and once again, the protocols back then were what's your name, where are we from, what team you play for, etc. So I answered those questions fine. Probably set out a couple of plays, and I was right back in playing. And this was, once again, it was on a Saturday. I don't remember the month, but I remember I was in fourth grade. It was Saturday, and I know I had school that Monday. So Saturday, I got the concussion, finished the game. Sunday, I had a little bit of nauseous. I was nauseous, but I thought it was because I was eating. My dad used to cook these banging ribs. Oh my gosh. So I used to eat these ribs, and I'm like, man, maybe I ate too much. So I was nauseous and not knowing it was from the hit. So that Monday, I went to school, and I remember being in my fourth grade teacher class, love her to death to this day, Miss King. I, I said I was seeing this star everywhere I looked. So I was in class, and everything was normal, but I was looking around, and I'm seeing this star. No matter if I shut my eyes, I could still see it. If I open my eyes, I could still see it. So I raised my hand because it was making my head hurt. I remember raising my hand, and before I know it, lights were out. I woke up. I was out of the paramedics. My parents was at the door of the paramedics. They was rolling me into the hospital. I had a seizure in class at Reed Creek Elementary, fourth grade. Yes. So at the time, of course, we did not know it was linked to concussions. This is still early. It was late '90s, early 2000s. So I get screened and everything. They say yes, you had a seizure. You passed out. I think I was out for like 5 minutes having a seizure. They was able to, put me on oxygen, etc. The whole line. So now my parents is panicking because we don't know where this is coming from. It's not hereditary. I have nobody in my family has had seizures, so they don't know where it's coming from. Nobody thought it was football. So fast forward from my fourth grade year, I took off a year. From that point, I did not play football from fourth grade to fifth grade. I took a year off, and during that time was probably the toughest time of my life as a child because I had multiple seizures a week in my fourth grade year, from the age of 9 to about 11. I had probably at least two seizures a week, and they will be either from grandma seizures or there will be like major seizures, or where I could have a seizure in my sleep. And I would remember waking up some mornings and it's like firefighters in the house and paramedics and stuff. My mom is like panicking and they were trying to, like, I don't know if they were resuscitating me or not. I don't know if I was choking on my tongue. I don't know what was happening. I was a kid. But the look on my parents' faces, like they were relieved to see that I was conscious, talking, etc. And I'm in fourth, fifth grade, right? So you can only imagine what they were going through as parents, not knowing what is going on with this child. So I had to do a series of tests. I remember one specific test that I had wires throughout my body, and they told me I had to stay up for 24 hours so they can monitor my brain and figure out exactly what's going on with me. So I had all of these wires on my brain, and my face, and my neck, and my chest, my back, and I'm probably a 10-year-old kid freaking out like I got this big old loud machine next to me, and I can't go to sleep. My mom and my dad are staying up with me. And like, hey, you cannot go to sleep. Like, we have to figure out what's going on with you. And I'm like exhausted, crying, and all of that. It was a very tough time for me and my family at that moment. And we just didn't know what was going on. So after a couple of MRIs, they figured out that I had, um, and I don't know the exact name of what was going on in my brain, but I know the left side of my brain was having some issues functioning. And that's what was causing my seizures. So they diagnosed me with epilepsy. So from my fourth, when I was in fifth grade, I got diagnosed with epilepsy. So I had epilepsy from fourth grade, apparently, all the way up until I was the end of my sixth grade year, going into seventh grade year. That was the last time I took medication for it. And that was my last MRI. They scanned my brain. Whatever was going on, I was healed from it. I did not have no more seizures. After my sixth grade year, I think I had my last seizure in a food line, standing in line. And I just had, it was like a blank stare. This is what they call a grandma seizure. Just had a blank stare on my mind, and just my mom was like telling me to come on, and I wouldn't move. I was just standing there, and that was like the last seizure. I do remember like leading up to it, but of course I don't remember the actual seizure. But this is what she's telling me. That was my sixth grade year, and that was the last seizure that I had. Now, mind you, we're a football family. This is what we do. So me, that's all I grew up knowing. I wanted to play football. Seeing my brother do it, he was doing it at a high level. Very recognizable. A lot of people in Charlotte know the Wiggins, so they know the Wiggins family. We're known for football. So I felt like I had to get back to it. Not even thinking twice about my health, or down the line as I get older and start to have a family, or where I'm at now to this day. So at that moment, I said, "Hey, Dad, I want to play football. I'm fine. I haven't had a seizure in a while. I want to get back to it." Of course, that was a tough decision my parents had to make, but they allowed me to get back into the game. So my sixth grade year, going into my seventh grade year, I played another year of Pop Warner football, and then I started playing middle school football at Northridge. Um, Fast forward to when I was in middle school, my brother was at West Charlotte High School at the moment, and he transferred to Independence High School. And during that time, early 2000s, from 2000 to 2007, Independence was a powerhouse, number one school in the nation. We had a winning game streak. We had 109. I think my senior year we lost it. We're not gonna talk about that too much.
What year was that?
That was 2007. We lost it in Cincinnati Elder. That was 100. It was going to be 109 games in a row, but we won 108 in a row up to that point. Seven straight titles, state titles.
Yeah, y'all spanked us pretty good through the years. I was advanced, now it's Julius Chambers, but I was advanced from '01 to '05, and I think
Okay.
his name was Chris Leak.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my brother caught Chris Leak's last touchdown pass in high school.
Wow.
Yep. Oh yeah. So this is like my brother's there. I'm like, man, I gotta go play for Independence. All right. So I gotta figure this thing out. So at that moment, my ninth grade year, I went into it and I played for the Big Eye, and I was locked in. I wanted to be the best at playing this game. And I was working with the best. I was around the best, had the best coaching staff, best players. My brother was one of the best players, still got records at that school to this day. And I wanted to be that. But what I was not really understanding was my grades were slipping at that time as well. And knowing what I know now about concussions, it has everything to do with your cognitive, right? I did not know that I was functioning low because of the concussions that I had prior or all the TBIs that I had leading up to that point. Like I started my first game of football at 6. I was 6 years old, right? So that me had not having my brain functioning or growing at a fully developed brain, I was constantly hitting it God knows how many times, all the way up until my senior year in high school. So during the process of my senior or my high school career, my grades were slipping. Like I think my sophomore year, I think I got kicked off the team at one point because of my grades, and I had to get rally my grades back up to get back on the team. It was getting to that point, and I didn't understand. I've always been a smart child. I've always been academically sound when it comes to that, disciplined. I'm military dad, doesn't play that, but I just couldn't figure out why I was slipping. And
Could
I
you,
think,
sorry, could you speak to what was difficult? Like, was it hard to concentrate? Was it hard to remember doing the assignments? What was the challenge there?
well, for one, the main thing that I like hindsight is 2020, right? But now, like when I think about it, it was really just the reading, my reading, understanding what I'm reading. I couldn't focus on one word and couldn't really understand it. I didn't know what I was looking at, and I would kind of like act like I know what I'm talking about, or I would act like I know what I'm reading. And then when it came to do homework, or a teacher would give me an assignment in class, and I would, I'd be listening to her, but then when I get home, I'm lost. And then when I get back to school, the teacher would say, "Well, where's your homework at?" "Oh, I left it. I left it at home." I was just embarrassed to tell her like, I don't understand what's going on. And mind you, I'm thinking football, football, football. That's all I'm thinking about. So I'm like, I can't tell my coaches what's going on with me because they're going to sit me out of football. I don't want to sit out. So I hid it for as long as I could. And really, the main person that got me out of it was my mom. She kind of sat me down and was like, "Listen, you are smart. You're the smartest boy in this family. Like, what is going on with you? You just became lazy. You're not turning in your homework. Tell me what's going on." And I just told her like, "Hey, I just don't understand it at this point. I don't know what's going on with my brain, and I don't know if it's because of the seizures. I don't know if it's because of football or lack of sleep. I don't know. I just don't know." So I think that was the main thing. Like I just couldn't really focus on the words and understand it. And then when I got into class, I mean, I'm still a funny guy to this day. But I was kind of focusing on like being a class clown a little bit too much, you know. And I think that was me not trying to be funny, but just me trying to cope with what I was dealing with and cover up, conceal what was going on with me. So I guess I hope that answered your question.
Yes, yes, in such detail. Um, I would like to know, you have played football, you coach football, I'm sure listeners watch football. What does it feel like to get hit, and what does it feel like to hit someone on the field?
Mm. I would explain it as it just depends. First of all, in weather, the type of weather, let's just say cold weather, for instance, it feels like a car wreck. It feels like you're in a car wreck and you're constantly doing this to your body over and over and over. And honestly, the only way that I got through it was the drive and the ambition to be better. But if I was a kid that wasn't really interested in football and I got hit the way that I got hit or deliberate hits, that I wouldn't want to play no more. it has that kind of effect on you.
Would you say it hurts? I mean, car wreck, that sounds
Yeah.
painful.
So, all right, coach. Sorry, it was one of my coaches.
No
Uh,
worries.
yeah, yeah, I would say it does hurt. Yes, it hurts to a certain extent. So it just depends on how you hit or the way you the way you deliver the blow. So with me, I was more so I didn't start becoming a big hitter until high school. I always had that I wanted to hit, I wanted to be aggressive, but I was taught to be more aggressive, kind of sacrifice your body in high school. And with me sacrificing my body, throwing my body around, the way I'm landing, the way you rolling, the way you can wrap somebody up and then another person come and put their helmet on your forearm and you getting bruised muscles that way. Yeah, it's very brutal, and the adrenaline keeps you going. It's like you get taught throughout these years. Hey man, that's a part of the game. That's how you become a man. You got to live. You got to go through that. You got to be tough. And I'm guilty now. I teach some of my players the same thing. Like it's going to be brutal, but I also let the players know there's risk every time you step on that field. And if you're okay with that risk, then you have to be okay with what comes with that risk. So
What would it take? Because I was going to speak that. Thank you for saying all those things about yes, be a man. This is what it takes.
right.
There is a risk for
Mhm.
you as a player, or as a coach.
Right.
I've got both both sides
Mhm.
to ask you about.
Right.
What would it take for you to be like, done? You're not going back out, or I'm not going back out, because I know that you got to be tough. Yeah, it's going to hurt, but get up and keep going.
Mhm.
What is the injury that is going to that's going to make someone say, player or coach, that's going to say, okay, we're going to sit you out now?
Well, I'm gonna just speak from the player standpoint. It just depends on the type of player that you are. Like if you have a will and you're determined to get to that next level, you're not gonna let anything stop you, regardless of what injury, of what team you're on. You're gonna just go through it. It's one of those things like got to play injured. It's like we have this saying. It's like a underlining rule. If you're injured or you're hurt, right? And that might to the person on the outside, they might not understand that. But being injured is okay. You're injured. Like we have to come on the field and take you off the field. You're injured. You can no longer play no more for this game. But if you're hurt means you can play through this. This is something that you might have a stinger. You might jam your finger. You might dislocate your shoulder. But you still able to move and be mobile on the field and able to play through it. So those is one of those things where I used to take that into consideration as a player. And it might be the mindset where, um, yeah, my coaches has mentally told me this for so long that I done decided to buy into it and say, you know what, I ain't injured, I'm hurt, so I'm gonna just play through it. And but hindsight, it's a lot of these injuries that I had in my career that I really didn't want to play football no more. I didn't, which is concussions, getting headaches. Um, like I never tore a ACL or MCL, but one of my best friends in college, in college, in high school, I witnessed him tear his ACL in a scrimmage against Charlotte Catholic, and he was a top tight end in the nation at the time. He ended up going to NC State and had a good career, but he could have played on Sundays. But if it wasn't for that injury, yeah, that injury, I've seen his leg go this way and his body went that way. I witnessed that. That would have been one of those injuries where I would have said, you know what, this game ain't for me. But once again, just being in the environment, the team that I played for at the time, there was no quitting. It never crossed my mind at all. We had a goal. We were trying to be the number one team in the nation, and we wanted to keep that going. So,
Yeah. So you sacrifice. That's what you're passionate about.
right.
So I believe that it's going to take a culture shift,
Hmm.
because, from a coach's standpoint, you all have a job to do. And considering, NFL coaches, um, maybe even high school coaches, like if you don't deliver, then your job could be on the line. And so you
Right.
have to do your due diligence to make sure that there are players in position that are going to help the team. And
Hmm.
so with that, how do you see, or what would your advice be, or what are your thoughts on shifting the culture to be more understanding for players who may be experiencing issues with concussion? Because, like you said, you play through it. What kind of player are you? But I believe there's got to be a trust between athlete and coach to be able to say, like how you said, if you were to go to your coaches and say, this is what's going on, they would pull you.
Right.
So um, where do you think we can go from here culture wise to get that level of trust?
I think it's big. I'm big on information. So if you as a coach is leading a program and you don't have the information, that's kind of like being a construction worker and don't have the tools, right? So you have to have information and knowledge about the sport and injuries and TBIs and concussions, etc. If you don't have the knowledge or don't have the resources that have the knowledge, because I'm not telling coaches that they need to take courses on concussions and all of that, but have somebody that you know that knows, such as Dr. Kelly, right? Me knowing you, if they decide to make me the head guy of this program, you will be a reliable resource that I will constantly utilize when it comes to TBIs and concussions, right? So that is a culture shift within itself, with having someone of your caliber that understands what's going on with the TBIs, concussions, with the brain in general, and then you can give me knowledge to now feed back to my players. And what that does is it gives the players trust to come to the coach and say, hey, coach, I have this going on with me at home, and it was after this happened at practice or via game or etc. Or it could have been a slip and a fall in the garage. And they come to me and tell me, like, hey, ever since that fall, I have not been feeling right. And now I have the information or the resources where I can take that information and pass it to someone that can get them the help. And I feel like that's where we're lacking across the board. We have all these hoorah coaches out here where all they care about is wins and losses. They don't care about the safeties of the safety or the importance of the child that they're putting in danger. Technically, we are putting these children out here, and we're putting them in danger every time we line them up. Now, I might get a lot of pushback from other coaches by saying, "Well, how can you teach your kids to be tough? You still can teach your kids to be tough, but you can teach them technique and discipline to understand. Hey, if you hit a certain way, you're going to get injured. But if you hit this way, you might not get injured. But if you do get injured, I have a resource for you that we can help you if that is the case." So that's where I'm going. That's where I'm at with it, and that's something that I'm really trying to push, starting here at Southlake. I'm not saying that the coaches that came up before me were not implementing this. I'm saying that I'm willing to implement it, because if this is going to be the program that I'm running, it's going to be a certain way that it's going to be structured to where these kids can feel comfortable coming to that coaching staff and telling them they got an issue. So that's how we change the culture.
I love that. So do you feel coaches telling their players, like, for real, seriously, come to me. You can come to me, talk to me, and tell me what's going on. Your brain health, you're going to need that for the rest of your life. You feel that players can trust that? That's
I
a
do.
huge shift in, put some dirt on it and get back out there.
Oh yeah, I do. I do. And then once it comes from leadership, you have to have a guy or a woman that understands the player. Like, you have a lot of coaches, and this is why I started coaching. And I might go on a limb here, but just bear with me. So I started coaching because I witnessed at the junior level, at the pee wee level, these coaches that never played a down in their life out there teaching kids how to hit, how to cover, how to throw the ball. They're teaching them so wrong. They're so far off. But they're doing this because their egos are involved in this. And this brings me back to your question. The players will trust a coach that has been in the trenches, that understood what it took or what it's taken from your body, the sacrifice for me as a coach, the sacrifice I put on my body that I'm dealing with to this day. Like, I feel like the players will come to the coach and really trust the information that coach has for them. And the Not to mention, if the player comes to you and say, "Hey, coach, I got something personal going on with you, and I want to just tell you this because I trust you with this information." You have to do your due diligence as a coach to keep that information between you two. You cannot go and tell this child information that he trusts you with and run off and tell anybody else. So that just goes across the board, whether it's injuries, whether it's mommy daddy issues at home, etc. So I truly believe that I'm just speaking for myself here at Southlake. I know that I could get these kids to buy in because I'm a trustworthy guy. I have been in the trenches. Most of these kids are tired of hearing my stories. And I tell my stories often to keep them reminded, hey, I was a player. I was a player. I've been in your shoes. And I know what you're going through. I know how difficult it is in school, and I know how difficult it could be with girls that you guys are getting into, etc. Right? I've been through it. So come to me. Let's work through this together. And even the seniors that's leaving, they got my number. They can reach out to me too. I got blessed with the opportunity yesterday to become an advisory, right, of senior football players here. So I got every Wednesday, I got an hour with these guys, and we get to sit in the weight room and talk some men stuff, right? So is
Congratulations.
that not a blessing?
That is so cool. Yes, that's a blessing.
Absolutely. And I plan on taking full advantage of that. And I want to be a disciple to these kids. I want to lead these kids down the right path and do not see them just so focused on football where they're killing themselves. Literally, because that's what we're doing out here. Banging our heads constantly until we die. I don't want football to be your end all be all. I want you guys to have families. I want to get calls and say, hey, coach, I'm getting married next year. Can you come to my wedding? Like, that's what I'm looking forward to. Hey, I'm getting graduating, coach. Hey, I just proposed to my wife. Do you have any advice? I'm married. I'm going. That's what I want. I do not want to bury students. I do not want to have conversations with parents saying that my child died on the football field under your watch. I don't want that. So I think this is a great first step to get this kind of information out and to show these kids, hey, this is possible. And then a person like me, I went through what I went through as a child, but look at me now, right? This can still be you, right? You know?
Yes, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought up parents.
Hmm.
What do you say to parents who may give pushback? Because there are parents who will, yeah, protocol, and I got a friend who's a doctor, and we got state coming up, so I want them to, get written back in. What do you say to parents who are like, these kids are too soft, put them back in there, I want my boy to play?
That's once again leadership role. You have to be stern with these parents. Every parent is not going to like you. They're not going to like the way you coach. They're not going to like the way that you treat their child in certain situations. And in those situations, if a parent is pushing back on their child to get back in the game when they're clearly injured, etc., because they want to toughen them up, then this is not the program for you. And I am not going to allow a parent to put a child in danger to fulfill their ego. Because really, this is most parents, and I'm not saying all, let me just take that back. Some parents, they they live through their children. The things that they wanted to do, they want their children to do it. So they push, 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 push. And then they wonder why when the child gets older, they stop coming to see you. They rebel against you, right? They don't want to be around you. You want to have family dinner, they want to eat in their rooms. It's because you're pushing a child to do something that they don't really want to do. You're telling them to do something that you would want to do. Or you're telling the kid to go back on the football field because you would do that. Your child is not you. So that would be my first instinct is to have a conversation with that parent and say, well, why do you want your child to go back out there? Is it really because you want them to be tough? Or are you telling me this because you were tough and you want your child to be just like you? Which one is it? And we will have that conversation. And I feel like this is another reason. I'm gonna just put this out there because I'm trying to get this head coaching job over here. This
Yes.
is another reason why I'm fit for this job because I I love parents, but I'm not afraid of parents at all. I have a job to do, and I understand the responsibility that comes with that job, and I'm willing to go to bat for anything as far as my players. Anybody that plays for Coach Wiggins is going to be protected. And whether it's coming from your mom, your dad, etc., old coach or whatever, I don't back down from nothing. Respectfully, we're going to have a conversation, and I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. And it's up to you to decide if you want your child to still be a part of this program or not. But it's just certain things we're not going to tolerate a parent pushing a kid back out there if they're injured. We're not tolerating that. Absolutely not.
I
Unacceptable.
love that. We need more coaches like you,
Yeah.
100%. So how involved are parents or parents of your players that you can speak on? How involved are they in concussion awareness protocol? What's going on with brain health?
Well, I could say this year, with my time that I have to plan, the parents are very involved in the program. Let me say that. We have a great group of parents here at South Lake, very supportive, great donations. I mean, across the board, name it. So they support us well. But as far as the knowledge of concussions, I don't think it's there. I don't think they have the knowledge or the information about the kid's possibility of concussions or what it can do to their child, or if they're concussed, what to do. Like doctors have information on saying, hey, your child had a concussion. And we like, okay, great, got a concussion. Now what? What do we do with this concussion? What is the what are the steps to heal this concussion? Where do we go from there? Most doctors don't have that information. So that if the doctor doesn't have the information, I'm pretty sure the parent is not going to have the information either. So I think that what I could do is bring that to the table, bring that to the forefront, and having more brain talks like we had in November, that will get more information out and it'll make more parents aware of what's really going on out here. I think you said this in one of your talks that I watched. You said that it's a silent epidemic, right? We need to get that information out. They keep talking about COVID and all this stuff. This is, in my opinion, more deadlier than that. It has the potential to. It takes a lot of people out, and whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, across the board. So if they don't have that kind of information, then I think they're behind the ball. So I'm going to do my part this year, especially if I become the helm of this program. I'm going to make sure they have all the knowledge and the resources. If something does happen, hey, well, don't worry about it. Yes, it's devastating. You got a concussion, but I know somebody that will help you get through this. Right?
Yes, yes. What are the protocols in place right now?
So, that's a good question. So right now we have one trainer available. Athletic trainer. Yes, she's a very intelligent. She does a great job. But that's it. I don't. We don't have no. We have a team doctor that, as far as like surgeries, I just met him this past year, Dr. Kelly. I mean, Dr. Keller. So he's done a phenomenal job. Actually, one of our coaches tore his Achilles on the sideline, being too excited. Yeah, and he did his surgery. So that was well. But as far as protocol, I think there's Sarah. I would want Sarah to tell you exactly what the protocol is because once again, I was not the head coach. I was only a head coach of 2 games this past year, so I didn't even really know the exact protocol that they were putting through. I just know it's a 10-day protocol. That's what I can tell you. It's 10 days that they have to go through a series of tests within those 10 days in order to be cleared. And I think they have to go through their doctor as well to get cleared as well. But I know once they get the clear from their doctor, they have to go through Sarah for 10 days and do a series of physical tests. I think one day is running, next day is like more agility, etc., just to see how you're functioning. And then after that, it's really up to Sarah if it's okay or it's not.
Wow. So you're not sure if there's cognitive testing that takes place with Sarah?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure there is. I just don't know the details around it. And that'll be something that we will have to sit down and discuss as well because, we had a lot of concussions this past year. I've seen a lot of kids on our team get concussions, and clearly it's not going to stop with just them. So it's going to continue to happen. So I just want to make sure we do have the right protocol in place. And that's where you would come in. Hopefully we can have more meetings with you and you can kind of put your input on that. And I'm pretty sure she'll be open to it.
Absolutely. Well, I love making sure that we've got awareness around this. There's a lot of work to be done, and it is a breath of fresh air to have coaches like you who are so into and motivated to change the culture and really look out for the best interests of the players versus, the wins and the job and all of that. And even, being able to stand up, and I love that. I'm not afraid of parents and you don't back down. So protecting these players, these athletes at all costs. I love that. And we need more coaches like that. So to that, what advice would you give to coaches for raising awareness to parents and others in the school, even teachers? What advice would you have for coaches on brain health?
Well, first of all, I would say find Dr. Kelly. Find her. Find her. I mean, you have been such a blessing in a little bit of time that I've known you, the information that you've given me and shared with your audience and your followers. Man, I kudos to you. So let me first say that.
Thank you.
Secondly, no problem. And secondly, I would say you have to find out the knowledge. You have to figure it out. Some coaches are afraid of getting the knowledge, and they're afraid of sharing the knowledge because they don't want to lose players. So I would say the first thing is get over that fear of losing a player. It's not the end of the world, right? It's okay if a player says, you know what, I have had too many TBIs or concussions, etc., and I don't want to play football no more. What you just did there was you saved that player's life. So it's not about, oh man, he's my starting quarterback. I got the information. I ain't gonna give it to him because I want him to play. It's not about that. It's about sharing the information so these kids can make a decision for themselves and their families, so they can go home to their families, right? So that's number one. Stop being afraid of sharing the information. Well, for once, two, you have to know the information in order to share it, right? So start doing more due diligence. It's cool to have your X's and O's. Every coach want to be that guy where they can go up on a whiteboard and draw up all these nice plays, right? You have to be able to go find the information that really concerns people when it comes to football, which is brain health. That's the biggest thing. We keep focusing on MCLs and ACLs. Most of these coaches know everything about an MCL and ACL, a torn rotator cuff. Oh yeah, you're gonna be back in 6 weeks with that hamstring in 6 weeks. Da da da. Tell me about the brain. And I'm not just saying go be a neuroscientist or something like that. I'm just saying go get some information. Follow somebody that has the information and study it. So that way, if a player does come to you, you're prepared for it. And you're not just scrambling and scraping and just speaking off the top of your head and just saying anything. You can give them real information. So I think those two things, stop being scared of telling players about what can happen or what's going to happen if they continue down this route, and then go find the information. That's my best advice. And oh, I'm sorry, I gotta say this too. Be more of a player coach.
What does that mean?
Being a player coach is understanding the players that you coach in shorter terms. And everybody might have different opinions about that. That's what my definition is. Be more of a player coach. Understand that there are different players, just like you have one child and then another child is born. So you got two. I got two girls, right? I'm raising four right now, but I got two of my own, right? My two nieces, their mines will be mine. But so my first child, Chloe, she was so sweet, and it's like a sour patch but flipped inside out. Like she's sweet and then she can get sour, right? Sasha, the youngest one, I call her a little spicy. Like she is sour. Like, oh my God. And then she could turn into sweet. Like, if you tell her no bye bye, she'll get all up under you and stuff, right? So you have to understand what players you got. Understand who you're coaching. And you can't understand them if you're not accessible. Start being accessible to these players. Open your door. Have an open door policy. Let these players text you. Let them come sit up in your office. Let them have conversations about stuff, not too crazy, but let them be open with you, right? That sometimes they don't have that at home. Some players out here are, man, I spoke to a kid yesterday. Actually, this morning at workouts, I was talking to him yesterday, and he said that, hey, I want to get better. And I said, well, we working out in the gym tomorrow. Come see me in the morning. He showed up to workouts this morning. And at the end of that workout, he said, you know what? you kind of remind me of my dad, man. Like, you like a father figure to me, right? And that, at first, I didn't know how to take it. I'm like, hold on. I know I ain't that old, you know? But it's just like, be accessible to these players. I felt like he wouldn't have said that to me if I didn't make him feel comfortable, if I didn't open up that door. So just be accessible, be a coachable, a player's coach. And I think that'll take your program or wherever you're at a long way.
I like that. The player's coach.
Yeah.
A player coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, now we're going to get into the candid questionnaire.
Okay.
So this is where I'm going to ask you 5 fun questions just for listeners to learn a little more about you.
Okay.
So the first one is, what is one word your friends would use to describe you?
Hilarious.
You just say you're a funny guy. Okay,
Yeah.
hilarious. Okay, would your wife say that too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think she would say silly.
Silly. Okay. Do your kids think you're funny too?
Oh yeah. That's where it starts.
Okay.
All that energy comes from them. Oh my God. I turned into a big kid around my
Okay. You're not the 5th kid though, right? 4 girls and then you're the 5th kid.
I think, yeah. Let my wife tell it. Absolutely.
We'll have to ask the missus.
Yeah.
Okay, second question. If you could instantly master any sport or physical skill, what would it be and why?
Any sport or physical skill? I would master. That's kind of hard. That's a hard question.
Take your time.
Okay. If I could master any sport or physical skill, I think it would be weight training,
Okay.
weightlifting. And the reason why is because I'm a girl dad, so I lift. I want to look nice, right? But just in the case if something happens, I want to be able to be physically strong enough to take on any obstacle, whether if my kid gets stuck somewhere or whatever, or if I got to pull him up from wherever, I want to be strong enough to endure that. And I don't know if that counts, but yeah.
Yes, that counts. Even something that you would wish something like that, and it's still in service and for someone else. You are so kind.
Absolutely.
Third question. What is one activity or hobby that you find most relaxing for your brain?
Man, I would say so. Recently, last year, I bought a boat, and yes, I have a pontoon boat. And when I tell you, and you're more than welcome, anytime.
I was gonna say, where's my invite, coach?
Anytime we go out on the summer, we're out there almost every weekend, sometimes during the week. And now that I have this new position, it's going to open up my summer like, oh my gosh. So yes, that is the most relaxing. I tell you, I should have been bought a boat. I'm like, this is a whole nother world out here. Like, I love it. So that is the one thing that now, and then raising my children out there on the lake, just hearing my 3-year-old say, "Daddy, you want to go to the boat? You know, get in Daddy truck, go to the boat." Right? So I love that. Like, so that's the most relaxing thing is just go out there, and then it's this spot on Big Wiley where you can get out there and you just standing in the water and it comes to your waist. You know, if you got a little beverage, whatever your choice, right? You just be out there and relax, and it's beautiful.
Are you talking about the sandbar?
The sandbar, yes. It's like 3 of them. It's one that I go to that's like 5 minutes from my wet slip that I park my boat at, and it's wonderful. I love it.
Well, I love water, and I was raised with water and being on boats and all of that. My family's always had a boat, so being down here, my family is in Ohio. Go Buckeyes. I heard that Michigan talk. I heard that Michigan talk. But yes, I love being on the water. So I will absolutely accept your invitation and come enjoy some peacefulness on the water, because that's what it is. Peace. The water is so tranquil. I love it.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay, 4th question. What is the most interesting or unexpected item that's in a bag or your car right now?
Interesting.
You have a big truck too.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Oh man, interesting or unexpected. I got a lot of so I just got out of trucking industry, right? So I got a lot of tools in the back of my truck right now. It's just I gotta empty that out. Like it's a mess back there. I don't know what's going on. Like I'm kind of looking like a little hoarder, like a little tool hoarder. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. Like somebody football coach, I got one bag full of play calls or wristbands with plays on them and footballs, and then I got a jack that jacks up a car. Like it's just yeah. So I guess you could call that interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely unexpected. Even when I think about the trucking industry, I don't think about having a bunch of tools, but I suppose you would need them.
Oh yeah, especially with my role now being a director of transportation. I oversee all of that. So any bus that go down, I have to go out there and figure out what's going on. And if I can't figure it out, then I got to take that bus somewhere or get somebody to take it there. All right. Yeah, it's a lot. But that's why they hired me.
Well, those tools, maybe you need to keep those tools on deck then.
I might, huh? I just need to find a place for them. Jeez, please.
Yeah. Last question. What is your go-to guilty pleasure, either TV show, movie, or song?
Go to guilty pleasure. I love this. So this show that recently it just aired. It's on Netflix, and I got two of them. But this one is called Landman. You ever heard of it?
I have not.
Yeah, I don't think it's on Netflix. It's on Peacock or Paramount. One of those. I got a lot of apps. I'm gonna leave.
Okay. A
Yeah.
lot of streaming services.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I think it's on Paramount, but it's called Landman. Oh my God, I can watch that whole series over and over and over. And it's another one on Netflix. It's called Outer Banks. So I don't know if you ever watched it, but
I
I promise
haven't.
if you start it, you're gonna binge watch it.
Okay, all right. What are these, like thrillers, true crime?
Landman is about the oil industry out in Texas, and it's basically about one guy that pretty much has the toughest job on earth, and he's working for this big corporation, and he's trying to manage it, and so he's doing a lot of things legally and illegally. It's a good mixture. I want to tell you, it's got a great storyline, a great plot twist in it. Oh man, it's extremely good. And then Outer Banks is more so like it's a group of friends. And they going on treasure hunts and all this stuff. It seems a little cheesy, but I promise you, it puts me in a space of like I'm a kid again. I don't know. It just makes me feel it relaxes me just to watch that and look like they're having fun and I'm all for fun. So anything we doing fun, I'm with it. We want to go laser tag, go karting, top golf, I'm there. So it just
Yes.
puts me in that mind space. So I guess I'm guilty of that.
Okay, that's cool though. I mean, I can relate. I may or may not have a set of laser tag guns in my house that I play. So
Yeah.
I had to bring it home. We can play in and around the house,
Yeah.
outside, inside. So being a big
No,
kid, that's
it
fun.
is.
Okay, so do you like what are your final thoughts? What do you want people to take away from your episode? This was great.
Yeah, one thing that I want them to understand is that whatever you're going through, as far as if you have had anything going on with you, it don't just have to be TBIs or concussions or seizures or whatever. I want you to understand that wherever God has you at in your life right now, that doesn't mean that you need to stay there or that's your permanent spot. It's just honestly a setup for you to come back to where you want to be. And um, as far as coaching, I want all the coaches and players out there, whoever's going to listen to this, whoever ears we're grabbing right now, to understand that the sport of football is great. The sports period is wonderful, but it's not your end all be all. There is life beyond sports. There is so much out here to do for anybody that's out there that has been through suicidal thoughts or anything. Just understand there's people out here that love you. There's experiences out here that you may not think that you are able to experience, but one day you might come across it and you might be able to experience it. And not only that, if you decide to take yourself away, then that can be you could be the savior to somebody else that's going through that. So just take that into consideration and understand, like, be more of a servant. Start serving people more. Get out here, be nice, be generous. Don't be a pushover, but understand that this walk in life, you have to You have to serve. You have to get out here and help one another. And I think that this platform, what you're doing, Dr. Kelly, oh my goodness, like this is going to be a start of a major journey. You can help and reach so many people by just this platform. You don't understand. So, like what you're doing right now, I applaud you for it. And I think we need more people like you, more doctors, more human beings. It's not just your title. Of course, you're Dr. Kelly, but you're also Kelly, right? And
Yes.
we need more human beings, more people that have ambition, who want to serve and help other people. And I think that is why I'm in this beautiful, blessed position that I'm in now, is because I'm in the serving position. I just want to serve. I tell people, use me. I want to be used. I ask God to use me. I have a praying wife. I have a praying family. Use me and allow me, my words, to reach others. And there's this Bible, and I'm not trying to get biblical, right?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's I do want to end this with something that I've learned at church. So the church that I go to, Essential Church, is off of Sardis Road in Charlotte, North Carolina. Pastor Loran, he is awesome. And at the end of every service, he says a Bible verse, and it says, "May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer." That right there is the foundation of everything that I'm trying to do. If you don't speak things that you want into existence, you're not going to get them. And if you don't serve like God has served us, then you're not doing what's right. I'm gonna just say that. I don't want to go into details about all of that, but that's just the main thing I want people to take away from this episode is look at what I went through as a child, look at where I'm at as an adult, and I'm still growing. I'm not claiming to be perfect. I have work to do, and I plan on doing that work, but I'm going to do it serving the Lord first, and then serving all of these young youth kids that don't have the ability to make wise decisions on their own, that need some kind of guidance. I want to be that guidance. And that's why I feel like God has placed me here at South Lake Christian Academy, right? Not just any academy. This is a Christian academy. This is why he put me here and put me into this position. So I think that's just the main thing.
Yeah, that is a word, Coach. That
No,
is a word. And what's wonderful is that you are leading by example because you absolutely emit that you are here to serve, as you said. And
yes.
that can be a scary prayer. I myself have had the prayer, consistently have the prayer of use me. And honestly think that's how all of this came about with the platform and Brain Talk. I do ask him to use me. Even me getting into speech therapy years and years ago, that was a prayer, please use me. So I love that final thought. Yes.
Yeah.
Ask to be used, be of service, and
Right.
everything works out.
Yep.
It works
It really
out.
does.
Yes. Where can people find you? Where can they get more of this goodness?
You can find me on Instagram at Coach B Wiggins 23. So that's
B as in Breland.
yes. Let me make sure because I'm my memory.
We're gonna make sure you have the accurate
Yes.
social there for you.
Yes. So it is Coach_B Wiggins on Instagram. That is, and my Twitter is at Coach Wiggins 23.
Okay. So
Yep.
you all heard it. That's how you can find him. If you're in Charlotte or in surrounding areas, come to a game when the season starts. When does your season start?
It starts August 16th.
August 16th.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know me. I would love to be on the sidelines checking you guys out. But for all of those who are listening, support. Go and follow Coach Wiggins. Send him professional DMs. Ask if you've got questions. Same for me. Just thank you so much, Coach. This was wonderful.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all that you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you. My passion, my pleasure.
Yeah. I love that.
Thank you for tuning in to Candid Conversations with Dr. Kelly. I hope today's discussion left you inspired, informed, and ready to take on your next challenge with a clearer mind. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, keep striving for a healthier mind and a happier life. I'm Dr. Kelly, And this has been another Candid Conversation.